Hello! The Texicurians today are here with a wonderful star of a guest. I'm here with Joanne and Dara, and Joanne is heavily involved in the Lebanese Society and in her church, which is
St. George Maronite Catholic Church.
And tell me about that. That is something that your family has a big part in, and also the formation of it.
When the early immigrants came from Lebanon in the early 1900s, their faith was really one of the important parts of their lives. As soon as they could, they built churches and they brought a priest over to practice their religion. And my father happened to be one of the early immigrants, and he helped found St. George in 1925. And then in the 40s, he went back to Lebanon and married my mother, who was 40 years younger than he was.
Oh my goodness.
So she came to the United States, didn't speak English, she didn't drive a car, but again, her faith was really a big part of her life. And so she got very involved with the church, and at the time, you know, all churches do is raise funds and have meals and lunches and dinners to try to make money to keep their churches going. And so the ladies would get together and do Lebanese meals, and then she really was one of the amazing chefs that we had at our church. And as she got older and was very arthritic, I started doing the cooking. Basically, that's the way that I really learned how to cook and really grew to just love the culture, the foods, the history of the foods. It's kind of neat. Okay, so what we've done is I've opened the jar, and they all still have their little stems, so I spent all morning cutting stems off of all of the grape leaves and getting them ready. A lot of the Lebanese actually use lamb, but in the United States we use ground beef usually. It's a matter of preference also. So you put your ground meat and then you add your rice, and I'm not going to put as much because I measured more just in case. Now, some people do not use tomato, crushed tomatoes. I do because it makes them moist and it gives them a nice flavor. Put that there.
Your personal favorite.
The secret ingredient is a little bit of butter, and we're going to put that right there. And then what we're going to do is get our salt shaker. Now this is where it's fun because this is the way we cook. And a little bit of pepper. When we're cooking at the church, I use gloves. At home, I never do. So now we're going to mush it really good, mix it to where it makes a nice filling for the grape leaves. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. I don't like to put in as much of rice because they also blow up sometimes when you put too much rice. So use a pound of meat to about a cup of rice.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are going to put it where you have the shiny side down and the rougher side on the inside. I estimated a tablespoon, but I usually just look at it. And depending on the size of the leaf, what we do next is we flip this part over, we bring it this way, and we do this.
Oh!
And there you are.
That was so smooth.
We're going to get our pot ready. And what we do is put tomatoes at the bottom so that it doesn't burn.
Oh,
now, a lot of the Lebanese also use lamb bones. And they put the lamb on the bottom, and it gives it that really special flavor.
Oh.
Okay, so now we've broiled all of these. And what we're going to do is we're going to start potting them.
Potting them, so that's the terminology.
Okay, you just take them and you start putting them in, and you try to put them closer together so that they are tight. So then you go and reverse so that it's opposite.
Oh.
And
okay.
it
kind of a
helps
crisscross
it,
pattern. Yeah.
Exactly, and it really makes them cook easier. Okay, now we have our pot,
Okay.
and these are hard to find.
I've never seen one of these.
You need to weight down the grape leaves. Well, we used to put plates and then we'd put bottles of water, which isn't smart. Anything to weight it down. And so you do that. A lot of them will just they'll use broth of some kind as a flavoring. You can use just plain water, and then halfway through, after like 15 minutes, they'll add the lemon. I put it in at the very beginning.
So would this be 1 lemon that was squeezed?
It's a fourth of a cup.
Okay. So it actually goes
It has
over
to
this
cover. It has to
piece.
cover that.
Okay.
And then you put it on the stove and you cook. You let it start to boil, and then you lower it and you cook them for about 30-35 minutes. Sometimes if the leaves are very tough, which sometimes happens, you have to cook them a little bit longer.
How do you know that? Is there a way that you can tell? Do you just
the
taste test?
The
Well,
taste
is it any
test.
better than
you
that?
Take one of, I take this off, and I always have to have 1, 2, or 3. And this is what they look like when it's
Final
finished.
result.
There it is.
Beautiful.
So now you need to taste it. Pick whichever one you like. We
Okay.
need to have a taste.
Here I go.
I'm going to have one of
Take
these.
one of this.
Mm.
Woo! I'm
Sahtain,
gonna- Oh!
which is your
Sahtain.
health twice in Arabic. Sahtain.
Sahtain.
And
Yeah.
you say qalbik, which is on your heart. It's just a saying.
I love it. Now it's time to eat. I would say this is almost like comfort food. How many can you eat of these?
As many
as you
just
want.
keep eating. So there
That
is
is amazing.
our tribute to Lebanon with turkey.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I really appreciate it. And I have a little something for you. So thank you so much for sharing. And I
wow.
know you said you're not a big apron person,
But I do.
if
when I
the
cook at the
occasion-
church,
there you go. Tell
I do
them you're
wear
a
them.
Texicurian now. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh,
this
so
is
awesome.
It's an honor and a privilege to be able to share our culture, and cooking brings people together.
And that's what I love about food, is it is something that you can say, oh, my grandmother made this, and you have memories of your grandmother and family gatherings. So
Thank you so much.
Yay! Okay.
We had Sunday lunches as a family, and one of the mainstays was always the grape leaves. They're very, very popular. We got so good at it that we'd make many of them and put them in the freezer. And then if company came or somebody was hungry and just wanted a little snack, you could just reach into the freezer, get them out, and microwave them, and yummy. It was a great childhood. I still have my childhood friends. I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. When the Lebanese immigrated here, there was none of the growth of the city. So they all lived in sort of the city center. Our neighbors were all immigrants. We had a multicultural neighborhood. The other part of it was that growing up with parents that were immigrants, there is an immigrant experience where your mom doesn't know what potato chips are. I would have killed for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when I was in school, because everybody else's food was a little bit different. My mother's command of the English language was hilarious, and we went out of our way to teach her things that she had no business knowing or saying, but we just thought that was really funny. There were some incredibly funny things that she would say, and we'd just roll on the floor laughing, and she'd kind of look at us like, what's so funny? We're a welcoming state. People come here because they've heard about Texas. I think that a lot of the times they're really surprised because they think that we're all cowboys. We have so many cultural and ethnic communities that thrive, like the Wends and the Ukrainians and the Greeks. They're all pockets of communities, and they all combined make up the great state of Texas. And it's been a state that was always welcoming, and people, we're all the same in a way. It's what we bring to the table of our individuality that really brings us all together as the great state of Texas.